Hey guys, Cigar Surgeon here with another Cigar Federation video review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Davidoff Escurio Petit Robusto. Look at that tiny little guy. It's only 3 1/4 inch by 50 ring gauge, so it's a tiny little smoke, but still at a regular ring gauge, so you can still get most of the flavors in there. A little bit about the blend: it's got a Habano Ecuadorian wrapper, Brazilian Cubra binder. Talking about the filler, it's got Dominican Filler, it's got Brazilian Filler, made in the Dominican Republic, and these bad boys come in at an MSRP of $8.50 at 3 1/4 inch by 50. I'm assuming this is probably a good 40-minute smoke, which is about right. Now today is a pretty warm day, if you can't tell by the fact I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's in the high 70s. I'm pretty stoked, getting some really good weather. But you're not here to listen to or watch me talk about the weather. You're here to talk about the smoke. So without further ado, we'll get to nosing, lighting, and talking about the flavors. So talking about the nose here, lots of cedar, sort of a medium minus, light plus. Again, maybe a little bit of cedar and raisin out of the foot, but it's very light, very subtle. So it's not going to take me very long to get to that Escurio band. That's probably like 20 minutes of smoking, but we're going to get cracking here with the lighting because I'm ready to smoke. So using my Zycar torch here, single torch, so the 50 ring gauge, you've got more foot to work with, less chance of scorching the wrapper if you're a little unsteady with the lighter. Looks good to me. So 50 ring gauge, again, Zycar V-Cutter, kind of the no-brainer here. Prevents you from cracking the cap as well. Initial impressions, sweet nuttiness, draws quite a bit on the tight side. Although, again, with a smaller cigar like this, having a tight draw is not necessarily a bad thing because you don't want an open draw. An open draw on a 3 1/4 inch cigar, you're going to smoke through this in 15 to 20 minutes. So I'll let the first third settle in and talk about the flavors that come up. Interesting retrohale in this. Getting a chlorophyll, a bright chlorophyll out of the retrohale. Yeah, there it is again. It's almost a sweet chlorophyll. I'm not sure I've ever had a retrohale quite like that. Very unusual for me. So trying to put my finger on the bright chlorophyll that I'm getting on the retrohale, it's almost like green wood. So if you've ever smelled green wood, that really bright green character, that's what it tastes like. Coming up on the 15-minute mark, and the green cedar chlorophyll on the retrohale is still there, but it's being joined by some rich, nuanced spices, both at about the light plus level, so they're not blowing your palate away, and they are kind of playing off of each other. It's interesting. I haven't quite had a flavor profile like this before in a cigar, so it's, always interesting for me to try something new. Sitting at the 25-minute mark. Pretty leisurely 25 minutes, getting really to the middle third here. Tough to gauge a cigar that's 3 1/4 inches by thirds, but really at the middle of a cigar. Hasn't really changed much in terms of profile. That sort of green chlorophyll cedar is still there on the retrohale, along with the mild spices and a little touch of sweetness. Nothing else much to report on the profile at this point. Hitting the 30-minute mark, just actually passing the 30-minute mark. There is some very, very light cocoa coming through at the middle, but it's tough because it's got to compete with that green chlorophyll. It's got to compete a little bit with the spices, and I think the chlorophyll, it's not Candela level, but it is kind of drowning out that chocolate. So it's there, but it's tough to pick up. 35-minute mark, getting into the last third here, and the cocoa has picked up. It's now becoming a dominant player in the profile. It is pushing down that green chlorophyll, kind of taking over a little bit. It's nice. It's enjoyable. It kind of makes me wonder what that profile would be like in a larger ring gauge or a larger foothold overall, like a straight up Robusto versus the short Robusto. But it's an enjoyable little smoke. It'll be interesting to see what's in the mix for the last third. Cocoa from the middle third is carrying the flavor profile into the last third. Largely that cocoa with a little bit of chasing cedar. Not sure how much more I can smoke. I've got maybe 1.5 inches of cigar left, but I'll do my best. Wrapping up the review of the Davidoff Escurio Petit Robusto. Tasty little short smoke. Tough to say whether it's worth the price. $8.50 is not an inexpensive amount, but it was a very, very good cigar. I think it would go extremely well with light rum, something that wouldn't overpower the cigar because it is quite nuanced. Or a coffee. I mean, this would make for an excellent smoke in the morning because I got 42 minutes out of it. I was smoking quite leisurely. I think it could easily be a 30 or 35-minute smoke, so perfect with a morning coffee or even an early afternoon coffee. Hope you've enjoyed the review. Make sure to check out the written review at cigarfederation.com. If you're listening by podcast or watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, up thumbs, up arrow, toss us a comment, drop us a line. If you have any comments for the review or any of our shows, you can email me, surgeon@cigarfederation.com. Thanks again for checking it out. We'll be back next week with another Cigar Federation video review. Talking about the filler, it's got Dominican filler, Brazilian filter. Talking about the filler, it's got Brazilian chlorophyll, chlorophyll, green chlorophyll,